Hello, good evening, and welcome to the news at 5. I'm Olumide Macaulay. Thank you for joining us. The federal government says it's engaged, and it is engaging the United States through diplomatic channels following the comments made by President Donald Trump suggesting possible military action inside Nigeria. Minister of Information and National Orientation, Mohammed Idris, in an interview with Sky News, said discussions are ongoing and have begun to ease initial tension between both countries. According to him, communication lines have been fully activated and U.S. authorities are gaining a clearer understanding of the security situation in Nigeria. He maintained that Nigeria has not ceded any territory to Boko Haram, explaining that the fight against terrorism is unconventional and complex. He also alleged that certain proscribed separatist actors are collaborating with lobby groups abroad to misrepresent Nigeria's internal affairs. Mr. Idris stressed that the U.S. has been a long-standing partner in the fight against terror, and Nigeria continues to seek collaboration to completely defeat terrorism. He further questioned the credibility of some reports used to suggest claims of widespread religious persecution in Nigeria, insisting that the Constitution guarantees religious freedom and that the conflict is not driven by religion.
Stop this here. Stop this. How do I face him? How do I face him? This is not professional. It's not professional. You can't be facing a minister for this thing. It's okay.
The Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, and some top officials of the FCTA had a face-off with officers of the Nigerian military over alleged land grabbing at Gadua district in the nation's capital after an intense verbal altercation with the military officers. The FCT Minister explained that the officers are acting based on impunity because there is no legal document in the FCTA's record allocating such land to them. Furthermore, he said such impunity will not be allowed to stand as far as his administration is concerned. Meanwhile, the military officers said they will not vacate the land as they are working based on directives given to them by former Chief of Naval Staff Vice Admiral Zubairu Gambo.
You had a who? Damn me.
I'm an officer. I take to orders.
To order that you take illegal order.
Mr. General.
Okay.
You can't say no.
You can never develop this property. I will not allow it.
No problem, sir.
I'm
only acting on my orders.
If you want to kill everybody, kill everybody.
We will not kill
you
anybody,
cannot.
Sir. We will not. We will not kill anybody, sir.
You put yourself in trouble. The man took land. We will not allow because he was chief of naval staff, and then he to carry land.
Sir, everything was acquired legally.
Will you stop
and so
that?
You get the
will you stop that?
Sir, I'm an officer. I have integrity.
Shut up, your mouth, good officer.
I will not shut up.
Will you get out?
Sir, I won't shut up. Sir,
I was in school. You're not in school.
Sir, you can't shut
will
me
you keep quiet?
You can't shut me
take food.
I'm not a
fool.
I'm not a fool,
You
sir.
can shoot anybody like that.
Sir, I'm not a fool.
Who are you?
I am not a fool, sir.
As at the time I graduated, you were in primary school.
I'm acting on orders.
Take for which order? You will see whether you know this.
Sir, you can't call me a fool.
I'm an
officer. I'm not a fool, sir.
You would have killed everybody here.
No, we won't kill anybody. We won't kill anybody. We are acting on orders.
Go and develop here. Let me see you.
Regular officer, you want to come and
we are going to get out.
Shortly after the altercation with the military, the FCT Minister, Mr. Nyesom Wike, spoke on what happened.
We are aware that the land investment and economic control can be coordinated to see where the illegal development going on and land grabbing. And when this was brought to my attention, I did instruct them to make sure that nothing takes place in as much as they do not have any legal paper in terms of usual approval or even the acquisition of the land. And when they came here, I was informed that the soldiers, the military, had to chase them away. And I thought, probably probably they will be acting illegally. And so today, when I was in the office, while they came to implement the directive that was given to them by myself, I was called that the military have taken over the place. And I have to come by myself to see things for myself. It's really unfortunate. And you heard what the officer said he was sent by the former chief of naval staff. And I don't understand how somebody who attained that position and see that he has a problem cannot approach my office to say, look, this is what is going on, this is what is going on. Or simply because he's a military man, he could use that to intimidate Nigerians. I'm not one of those kind of persons that will succumb to blackmail.
Former Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and ex-governor of Bayelsa State, Chief Sylva, has responded to the notice issued by the EFCC declaring him wanted. In a statement issued by his media aide, Julius Bokuru, he faulted the agency's approach, describing the declaration as hasty and politically motivated. He insists he has not absconded, explaining that he is in the UK for medical treatment and will return to honor the invitation once his health evaluation is concluded. The statement also noted that the allegations against the former minister have changed over time, claiming that the development suggests a political undertone rather than a straightforward investigation. Meanwhile, the commission maintained that Mr. Sylva is wanted in connection with an ongoing financial probe and posted the notice across its official communication channels. Justice Emeka Wete of the Federal High Court has adjourned the alleged money laundering trial of the former governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, to January the 29th and 30th and February the 4th and 5th for continuation of trial. The matter was adjourned to allow the prosecution counsel and the senior advocate of Nigeria, Kemi Pinheiro, conclude the examination of the EFCC's seventh witness. The day's proceedings resumed with the continuation of trial. The prosecution sought to tender documents marked as Exhibits 33 and 34 while leading the witness, a compliance officer with a commercial bank, in evidence. On examination, the witness confirmed that there were 7 columns in the statement of account that was tendered and explained that what the different columns stood for. He was taken through the account statement of the Kogi State Government House Administration from December 2018 to August 2021. The witness identified cash payments on December 21, 2018 to one Aminu J.O., totaling 50 million naira in tranches of 10 million naira each, amongst other payments. The judge subsequently adjourned the case to January 29th for continuation of trial. Former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo has asked the youth in Africa to be positively disruptive and maintain a high level of integrity and a deep sense of responsibility if they must take the mantle of leadership on the continent to realize their dreams as leaders of today and subsequent entrepreneurs. He made the call in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital, during a presidential youth mentorship retreat organized by the Olusegun Obasanjo Youth Development Center at the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library. The former president, while prescribing calculated risk, high sense of patriotism, integrity, amongst other decisions, as some of the qualities to achieving greatness, urged them to use their population to their advantage.
You are leaders of today. Because if you leave tomorrow in the hands of leaders who are there today, they will destroy it. You won't have your tomorrow. And you can see that happening almost everywhere. You have Cameroon that just had an election. My brother Paul Biya is 92. So what are you going to do with the youth? I mean, there are no youth in Cameroon. Here, we had not too young to run. They even made it into law and those who made it into law are 80 years old, and they are still running. When will you have opportunity to run? You have to be positively disruptive. And I mean that. Otherwise, you will have no role to play.
The President of Nigeria, former President of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo. A federal high court in Abuja has for the second time restrained the People's Democratic Party from holding its national convention scheduled to hold in Ibadan, Oyo State between November the 15th and 16th. The court also barred the Independent National Electoral Commission from supervising, monitoring, or recognizing the outcome of the national convention, where national officers are expected to be elected. Justice Peter Lifu on Tuesday issued the fresh order while delivering ruling in an application brought by a former governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido. Mr. Lamido had taken the party before the court, complaining that he was denied the opportunity to buy the chairmanship nomination form to enable him participate in the convention. The judge predicated the restriction order against the PDP on the grounds that the party refused, neglected, and failed to comply with the relevant conditions and laws for the conduct of such conventions. The judge also held that evidence from Mr. Lamido showed that the timetable for the convention was not published for the attention of its members as required by law. Justice Lifu also held that the balance of convenience tilted towards Mr. Lamido because he will suffer more if allowed to be unlawfully excluded from the planned convention. From there, the governor of Edo State, Mr. Monday Okwebolo, has assured stakeholders of the Museum of West African Arts project of fairness and transparency in the resolution of the controversy surrounding the museum. The governor, who stated this when he received a high-powered delegation of diplomats, including the European Union ambassador, as well as ambassador of Germany to Nigeria, also disclosed that he had no prior information concerning an event at the museum on Sunday, which was disrupted. Our correspondent Jessica Ologwese reports.
Protesters gathered outside the Museum of West African Arts MOA complex in Benin City, the Edo State capital, on Sunday, disrupting an event attended by foreign nationals and diplomats.
Go and never to come back.
On Monday morning, a high-powered delegation of European diplomats, including the EU ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Gauthier Mignot, and the German ambassador to Nigeria, Dr. Annette Gunther, visit Government House in Benin City, meeting with Governor Okwebolo.
May I have your permission, Mr. Governor, to...
Governor Okwebolo reveals he had no prior information about Sunday's gathering, but emphasizes that the MOA project lacks transparency.
If I knew that such delegations would be in Benin, probably I would have at least to receive. I'm not aware that such gathering will be taking place yesterday. Find out from the organizers of MOA, and then they should evidence that they inform me.
Following further discussions, Governor Okwebolo leads the delegation on a courtesy visit to the Oba of Benin's palace. His Royal Majesty Omonobane Duku Apolpolo Obayewa II briefs the delegation on the MOA controversy.
They quietly brought me a document to sign away, mortgage my right to sign approval for what they want to set up the Legacy Trust, Legacy Restoration Trust, to take over all the Benin bronzes. I said, I cannot sign that.
The EU ambassador says the delegation's mission is to strengthen cooperation with Edo State and pay homage to the Benin monarch.
The reason for our presence here, which is fundamentally to try to engage more and strengthen our partnership and our cooperation with Edo State.
The German ambassador says the country has been cooperating with Edo State in many areas, including culture.
Our cooperation has been particularly close because you are aware that the German government has transferred or returned the ownership of 1,200 Benin bronzes back to the Nigerian government and to the Nigerian people.
Governor Okpebholo assures the delegation and stakeholders that his government is already taking steps to address the controversy with fairness and transparency, beginning with the recent setting up of a committee to look into the issues. Jessica Onubuse, Channels Television News.
The continuous profit from Nigeria equities market is attributed to the increase of the capital gains tax. Details of who gave that opinion in business news after the break on the news at 5. Welcome back. Monday, November the 10th marks 31 years since the execution of the Ogoni 9, a group of environmental activists who opposed the drilling of oil by Royal Dutch Shell because of environmental degradation. A day remembered across Ogoni land and beyond as a painful reminder of the struggle for environmental justice. But it's not only about the Ogoni 9, it's also a moment when the people of Gokana reflect on the deaths of the Ogoni 4, prominent elders in the movement of the survival of Ogoni people, whose murders preceded the arrest and eventual execution of the 9 activists. As part of this year's commemoration, different groups held events in honor of the fallen heroes. Our correspondent, Deborah Agbalama, reports.
It is another November 10th, a day etched in the hearts of Ogoni people as the commemoration of the killing of Kensariwa and 8 others, while also reflecting on the deaths of Ogoni 4, Edward Kobani, Theophilus Orage, Samuel Orage, Albert Bade, all from Gokana local government area of Rivers State. This year, the people of Gokana, under the edges of the Ogoni Unity Forum, the Council of Chiefs, and families of victims are renewing their call for the retrieval of the remains of the 4 who were allegedly killed by a mob outside the palace of the then Benemene of Gokana 31 years ago. According to them, retrieving their remains will bring closure and true reconciliation to the land. They also expressed disappointment over what they describe as Mosob's continued disregard for genuine reconciliation, accusing the group of planning to lay wreaths on symbolic graves of the Ogoni 4 instead of working with key stakeholders to recover their real remains as recommended by the Oputa panel of 2001.
The peaceful and good people of Bodo, Boom, and the entire Gokana strongly commend Mr. President in his giant strides and, most importantly, his relentless efforts to the ideals of peace and reconciliation in Ogoni, the prestigious posthumous national award bestowed on the Ogoni 4.
The Gokana people are gathered to say, bring their bodies for burial.
The demand for justice is also echoed by the Gokana Council of Chiefs and a former Minister of State for Industry, Trade and Investment, Kenneth Kobani, son of one of the Ogoni 4. They maintain that while they are not against the presidential pardon granted to the Ogoni 9, only a court retrial can formally exonerate them.
I want to emphasize that they were murdered by our own people. This event took place in broad daylight, so the culprits were identifiable. They didn't cover their faces. We chose to leave our bitterness behind and chose forgiveness over anger. We also agreed at the Oputa Commission that there will no longer be the beatifying of one group and the vilifying of another.
Clad in black attire and carrying placards, the crowd paid a courtesy visit to the King of Bodo before marching to the homes of the Bade and the Kobani families to register their pain and prayers for reconciliation. Elsewhere, the National Youth Council of Ogoni people held a separate memorial for Kensariwa and the 8 others, describing them as symbols of courage. While thanking President Tinubu for the pardon, they call for the case to be reopened for proper exoneration and for the full implementation of the Ogoni Bill of Rights.
Demand for environmental justice, demand for political justice, demand for economic justice.
For the people of Gokana and Ogoni land, November 10th remains not just a memorial, but a renewed call for justice, reconciliation, and inclusion, a reminder that the fight for equality and recognition continues until all voices are heard. Deborah Balama, Channels Television News.
Welcome to Business News. The continuous profit taken from Nigeria equities market has been attributed majorly to the increase of the capital gains tax from 10 to 30% effective January 2026. The Chief Executive Officer of financial derivatives company, Bismarck Rwani, agrees with this line of thought and believes that reconsideration of the reform will soothe investor sentiment.
If you made a gain of 100 billion naira by selling your shares today, assuming that you bought MTN shares, you bought Okomo Oil shares, you bought Guinness shares, and you would have made maybe 200%, 300%. If you made 100 billion naira gain, and this month, you will pay 10 billion naira, as withholding, capital gains tax. If you wait until January, you will pay 30 billion. So you are giving 20 billion back to the government, right? So, which you would have reinvested and done more and more. So, no matter how beautiful the earnings of the companies are, people are taking their position on the fact that it's better to have the money in your pocket. It's better to cry with money in your pocket than to cry with in an empty pocket. So you are going to see this continue in spite of other threats. And my suggestion one is reduce the capital gains tax 10 back to 10, 15, or defer the implementation date, because we don't need anything that will frighten investors, both domestic and international.
Finally, a delegation from the Rwanda Development Board, RDB, and the private sector partners from Rwanda have signed a memorandum of understanding with the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry to deepen trade relations for Nigeria and Rwanda for economic growth. Participants believe that the potentials are huge and cover diverse sectors.
The High Commission of the Republic of Rwanda has convened this meeting to share their progress with the target of fostering a closer relationship with Nigeria. They pride themselves as being one of Africa's fastest growing and most dynamic economies, achieving an average GDP growth of over 7% annually.
So inviting you to invest in Rwanda is not actually only about bringing money there. It's about bringing yourself, your families, communities, and bringing them together so that we build people who do know each other, people who can feel home wherever they are, and by moving one side and coming in the other one, what it does bring is actually strengthening relationship, strengthening partnership, strengthening Africanness.
For Nigerian investors, this means that Rwanda offers a partner regime that aligns closely with the ambitions in trade, manufacturing, value addition, and regional integration.
So much easier to invest in many African countries than to invest in your own country. In terms of the paperwork and all the hassle you have to go through. But I think it's good for Africa. As we speak, Nigeria, on every year, this is a statistic some of us take for granted or do not know. Every year in the last 5 to 10 years, Nigeria is either the second or the first largest investor in Ghana. Ghana have the statistics. Ask them. Nigeria, every year when they come out with the foreign investor statistics, Nigeria is either the first or second. Nigeria is always competing with China every year.
The relationship is sealed with the signing of a memorandum of understanding between LCCI and Private Sector Federation of Rwanda to underscore a mutual commitment to building strong and sustainable business links. and a taste of the Rwandan culture ends the meeting.
And that's it on the news at 5. Thank you for watching. I'm Olumide Macaulay.